Welcome to the VI Department of Education's 2020-2021 Parent and Community Educational Conference. Research has shown that parental involvement is a key factor in student achievement and students' overall success in life. It is also known to be true that parents tend to participate more in their child's education when they know how and when they feel knowledgeable and equipped with the tools to do so. With this in mind, the VI Department of Education has provided professional development for parents over the years, and we are pleased to continue providing this important and necessary support. What's new at the department, however, is the professional development we are providing for the VI community. This change is due to the fact that successful school systems have strong, positive, and consistent community support. And with this goal of rebuilding the community's trust in the Virgin Islands public education system, I am delighted to bring this educational conference to you. Your participation in today's conference will help to transform our public education system. I look forward to hearing about your experience today and the areas of the VI public education system you would like to learn more about. Remember, together we can transform public education in the Virgin Islands. Enjoy today's session.
All right, so I kind of jumped into learning objectives already, right? So by the time we're finished with this process, you should have an understanding of our referral process for special education and where to go, access, and all of that. So we'll provide that for you today, okay? So what is a referral and what is a referral for special education? So a referral is specifically a written request for a special education evaluation of a student between the ages of 3 to 21 who is suspected of having a disability, okay? So that is what a referral is. Within the Department of Education, we do provide specialized educational services for students, for children who are age 3. So that means they're in the kindergarten environment at that age and all the way through to age 21. And 21 meaning that it may take a student, they may need that time, that extended time to be able to complete their general education diploma, or they may be working towards an alternate diploma. And so they need up until age 21 to be able to achieve that goal. We always tell parents that, you know, the special education process of learning and support is a marathon. It is not a sprint, but is always a wonderful, positive thing when students are able to make the gains that will help them to be successful for a lifetime, okay? So that's the whole point, a lifetime. A referral should include, can you please go back to that slide for me? I'm sorry. So a referral should include a clear statement or the reason for why you are suspecting that a child may have a disability. It should also include any supporting documentation that kind of outlines the challenges that the student is experiencing. And school referral packets generally include teacher input, health and vision screenings, grades, pre-referral intervention records, and language proficiency assessment for our English language learners. Okay, you can move on now. Thank you. Now, our sources of referrals. Oh my gosh, referrals can come in from anywhere. As a matter of fact, the referral process for the Division of Special Education is a year-long process. Once a referral comes in, our Educational Diagnostic Center goes through and makes sure that it is a complete referral, that they have all the information that they require to move forward before moving forward, okay? So our sources of that, it includes the Part C Infants and Toddlers program from the Department of Health, our preschool programs, the Head Start programs, private daycare centers for the preschool age students or children. It includes our public schools, our private and parochial schools, homeschools. We have parents of special education transfer students. We have court orders. Sometimes we're court ordered to complete an evaluation because the legal system wants to have in-depth information about the cognitive ability of children that are going through their process. We get referrals from the Department of Human Services and other public agencies. Sometimes the medical community sends families or refers families over to us for evaluation processes. So they're from their primary healthcare providers. We have parents, legal guardians, sometimes adult students or advocates. And adult students, that's the term that's applied to students who are 18 years old or older. Okay, so once a student reaches the age of 18, they're classified within our program as an adult student. And so they make all of the educational decisions with regards to their educational process at their meetings or with regards to getting an evaluation for themselves. Okay, we also have rehabilitation and detention centers and the alternative education programs. So those are all entities that would submit referrals at various times with regards to getting a child evaluated. Okay, so this is actually written in federal law. It's a legal process, all right? So the Code of Federal Regulations is a part of what we call the Child Fine Mandate, okay? And that declares that individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the IDEA, includes the Child Fine Mandate. And the Child Fine Mandate requires that all school districts identify, locate, evaluate all children with disabilities, regardless of the severity of their disabilities. This obligation is to identify all children who may need special education services, and whether they are in school or not. And we have to identify, locate them, and locate them. So the IDEA requires that states develop and implement a practical method of determining which children with disabilities are receiving special education and related services and which children are not. Okay, so that's the law, that's the legal federal premise behind the Child Fine Mandate and behind why the referral process exists. Okay, so what you see on the screen are two documents, one in English and one in Spanish, and that documents our Child Fine Notice to all stakeholders. Okay, so this is the information that whenever we receive a request, we send some of this out to them. Our EDC, or Educational Diagnostic Center, also sends these out automatically at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year and at the middle of the year to private and parochial schools and other stakeholders that we partner with, our community partners, to make sure that that process is fluid and it continues to flow and the information remains as current as possible. Now, referral. So referral is step number one, right? But before an evaluation can be completed for any child at all right? After the EDC arm of special education has reviewed that document and said, okay, this is a complete referral. We have everything we need, right? The next step is parent, legal guardian, adult student has to give us consent. And consent is just a fancy word for giving us the permission to begin, or permission. Consent, permission means the same thing. All right. So once we get that written consent, and it has to be written, it has to be signed. There's actually a document that you sign giving us permission to evaluate, then the evaluation process can begin. Okay. So that's really important to know. We have to have that permission in advance for us to be able to begin. And once we have that permission, we legally have 45 days within the territory of the Virgin Islands from the time you give us permission or consent to the time that we are complete with evaluation and we're sitting in an eligibility determination meeting. We have 45 days to complete that process. Okay, So that's what that looks like. But that permission must come first. But what you also need to know, it's important to know that getting an evaluation or going through the evaluation process means that at the end of that process, we will sit in a meeting, right? And you will receive all the information. I mean, it's a comprehensive meeting that reviews everything that the specialists have observed, collected, found out as they're going through their evaluation process with your child. It's a comprehensive meeting that explains everything, right? So, as a parent or a legal guardian or an adult student, at the end of that meeting, you also have to give us consent or permission to provide special education services. So, some families at that point determine, oh, okay, I have all the information, I have everything that I need, this is everything that I wanted. This is as far as I want to go in the process. I do not want to know anymore. I do not want to do anymore. I have everything I need to know how my child learns or how I can assist my child. That's enough. I am good. So there are some families that choose that and they stop right there. But majority of our families, most of our families choose to give us the permission or the consent to continue to provide, to continue and implement and provide special education services for their child. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. Okay, so majority of the time we get the consent or we get the permission to move ahead, but sometimes families do choose that at that point, that's it. That's all they need, and they have enough information to move forward. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to go through the referral packet itself. Okay, so there are some general documents that you will have, and we are going to go through those first. All right, so the first thing that you will see is a checklist, and you start with the checklist and end with the checklist. Why? Because it's a checklist. You have to check things off as you go along, right? Just because of that. So you start with the checklist because not only is it literally a checklist, but it also provides information, guided information for you to know what you need to do first, what you need to do second, and all the steps that you need to do to be able to complete the referral. So this document that you see right here is typically going to be your first, okay? So that's why it says start and finish. All right, that's why it says that specifically. You start and you end here. What is new with our division in the St. Croix School District is that now referrals can be submitted to an email address. So it's submitted electronically, and we actually prefer that it gets submitted electronically because it creates a paper trail, right? That we can track everything and make sure that you're getting everything in, and that we can go back and make sure that it is filed adequately, right? Or appropriately. So that email address for the St. Croix School District is SPED Referrals. So SPED Referrals, REFERRALS at VIDE.VI. And you will see that email address referenced numerous times during this presentation. So this is not going to be your first time. This is not going to be the last time. So you have time to jot it down. As a matter of fact, by the time we're done, you might be able to recite it to yourself, okay? So just know that the first or the beginning part is this checklist. You start with the checklist and you end with the checklist, okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so the next big thing is really important is our general health information, right? So in this general health information form, a lot of the times you will fill this out with your primary care provider. All right, they will help you with that so that you can make sure that all the pertinent things or all the required things that need to be in there are completed. You'll see my flashing eyes and my eye exam there on the screen simply because that is a requirement. We must complete a vision screening to rule out that a student did not need, just need glasses, right? Like I have my big glasses here. So some students, they have difficulties in the classroom because they just need corrective lenses, right? They need corrective lenses, that goes into play, and they boom, they catch up with their peers, right? So if that has not been ruled out, if a vision screening is done by the primary care physician and the student fails that vision screen, then they are then referred to the eye doctor for a more comprehensive test. Okay, and they will determine whether corrective lenses are needed or there are more significant more significant issues that need to be taken care of, or that nothing is wrong at all, and that we really are looking at an issue because the child can see fine, and and so we can go ahead and move on with our assessments. So general health information, but vision is essential. That's a requirement. Okay, next slide, please. Next big thing is our hearing. That also has to be a rule out. So two very important things. Vision is a requirement. Hearing is a requirement as a rule out. We have to make sure that whoever we're evaluating can hear appropriately, right? So if for whatever reason a child fails the hearing screening, we do refer them to the ear doctor, right? So that, or an audiologist, so they can complete a full hearing exam, and they inform us and the parent whether there are any challenges with the hearing, whether it's a corrective issue that once the child gets hearing aids, that their hearing would be fully restored, or if there are additional challenges that only an audiologist would be able to diagnose. Okay, so those are the two major rule outs, because if a child has an issue with vision or a child has an issue with hearing, they will automatically look like a child with a cognitive disability, right? Because they may be missing things, either missing seeing things or hearing things, and in some cases, both. Okay, so we have to make sure that that is completed before we continue. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so preschool, the little people, we call them affectionately in our camp, they have their own form. So now we're going to break down into the pieces that exist for each area. So preschool, the little people, the 3 to 5 age group, they have their own form, and it's very comprehensive. I think they have the shortest one, though. I think theirs are only 3 pages long, but it asks for a number of things, right? Whether they can see, whether they can hear, what are their self-help skills like, what is their visual perception like, visual motor, their gross motor coordination. Those are all fancy terms that add up to, what are the areas that you see are of concern that we need to pay attention to, and what are the reasons under these all these areas, what are the reasons that you are bringing a child forward for a referral or seeking an evaluation. We always have to have an outlined referral reason that is required as a part of the process. And so the referral form helps us to formulate what that referral reason is. Okay, so this is the form for pre-K. Like I said, comprehensive. It has a lot of stuff on there and such. And whenever it's completed, it's signed off by everyone or the parent who's submitting that in. Okay, so can we go on to the next slide, please? Okay, so the next one is the one for elementary school, right? So all our kiddos in elementary school, they have their own form because there are specific developmental things that they're looking at the elementary ages. So as the schools, and majority of the times it's the schools that will complete this, you will hear some fancy terms, basic child study team, all right, multi-tiered system of support team or system support team, or response to intervention team. They're all the same thing, all right? 6.5 dozen, same thing, all right? They're just fancy terms for the school teams that usually includes the school administrator, the school counselor, the classroom teacher. For some students, it includes the nurse because some students do have that requirement as a part of their overall functioning. Okay, so it's just a multidisciplinary team from within the school. Oh, and the parents don't, you're a part of that team as well, because at some point the school has to inform you that, hey, mom, dad, there's a problem. We're seeing some stuff here, you know, come and talk to us so we can see if it's all the same thing, right? And such. So you're a part of that team as well. But like I said, basic child study team, multi-tier system support team, response to intervention team, all the same thing. All right. They're just going to come together and identify the problem, put some interventions in place while they're seeing the problem, seeing if with the interventions, if the child makes any improvement. If the child makes improvement with the interventions, a lot of the times they don't reach the special education for an evaluation referral. The ones that special education receives are the for children who, after the intervention has been put in place, after mom and dad and auntie and grandma and, you know, older brother, sister have tried a number of things within the home to try to address the issues, they're still not seeing any progress. And so that's when the referral will come to special education, because that's when the entire team would be saying, special ed, we try all this stuff and we need y'all to help us to see if there's something, so we need some help. All right. And that's when it would come to us. So that happens whether that's at preschool level, whether that's at the elementary level, all right, or whether that's at the secondary level. All right. So elementary grades 1 through 6, the school referral packet, and there are specific things that they're looking for. The referral packet checklist, the elementary school referral form, the general health summary, and the hearing screening form. Okay, so that would constitute a complete referral packet. All right, so it's important to remember in all of this that this information is confidential, right? So we treat it as such. So the same kind of confidentiality, like when you go to your doctor's office and they treat you for whatever, and then they say, okay, here you go, you know, send you back home. That's the same kind of respect that we give to this process and the documents that accompany the children, or the documents that in some cases represent the children when it comes to us. All right, next slide, please. You can go on to the next slide, because that was just showing us that we have 4 pages for the elementary school packet. It's a 4-page document, okay? And a lot of the information in that document would be similar to the preschool with a few added things, because like I said before, there are certain developmental markers that the specialists are looking for at the elementary age. And that applies as well for the secondary age. Secondary school is the area that we get the smallest number of referrals. So pre-K, so that age 3 to 5 are little people, a ton of referrals, right? Elementary, a ton of referrals, right? Secondary, it goes like meh, right? It comes to a really small number because, you know, a lot of the times when we're getting a secondary referral, special ed is going like, whoa, like, you know, how come this is so late? How come we didn't see this before? Why is this just coming in now? But we take them as they come, right? We still take them as they come, and we do our best to try to intervene and make sure that the help is there if they qualify for that help. Okay, it is still an eligibility decision. Students or children have to qualify for the services, and so, all right, so we still take them as they come. All right, so secondary referrals. So another 4-page document. So the secondary packet should include the referral packet checklist, the secondary school referral form, the general health summary, and the health screening form. Okay, and the process is fairly similar to our elementary folks, whereby you may hear basic child study team or multi-system, multi-tiered system of support team, or response to intervention team. Like I said, 6.5 dozen. All right, so they're the same thing. and the referral would be complete. And so would be completed. Another 4-page document, like I said, and keeping in mind what are the 2 things that have to be ruled out no matter which level referral. Have to rule out that vision. All right, make sure that they're not significant vision challenges, or hearing, right? That hearing screen, that vision screening has to be completed. Okay. All right. Next 2 slides, please. You can go over twice. Okay, so parent referrals. So this is another way how referrals come through. So we talked about the pre-K referrals that come in from the pre-kindergarten programs, whether it's the early childhood, infants and toddlers, Head Start, private daycares. Those are all different ways we get from the early childhood program, right? Or whether it's elementary, and it's an elementary school that is reaching out to us for help, or it's a secondary school, and secondary actually starts with our junior highs. Okay. So I know a lot of the times people think secondary school and you're thinking, oh, high school. Nope. Secondary actually starts with our junior high programs. All right. So, or junior high or middle school, right? That's also another secondary era. So junior high, middle school, we count those as secondary, or middle schools and our junior highs. So if we're getting a secondary evaluation from either a middle school, a junior high, a high school, right? That's another way. And the 4th way that we get a referral for evaluation is through parents, right? Because parents, you know your baby's best. And so sometimes you see things that we don't see, right? Sometimes you have experiences that we don't have. And especially right now with how we're working remotely, right? Some parents are becoming extremely aware of some of the challenges that their children are experiencing within the academic environment. And so we do have parent referrals. Okay, so the parent referrals, as specified by the State Office of Special Education, should include a fill-in parent request for evaluation, along with any other documentation that the parent provides for us to be able to move forward. Now, that does not mean that we do not take all the stuff into consideration like we do for the schools. Actually, what it means is that we work backwards. Okay, so typically a referral will come from the school with all the information that we need. But whenever we get a parent referral, then the clock ticks for us and we go backwards. So we have to reach out to the schools, get in touch with the teachers, get in touch with, with everybody within the educational environment, because we are the Department of Education. Our services are tied to education. And so we have to show the relevance, and we have to show that there is a deficiency within the educational environment. And so parent referrals mean we just race backwards and then come back forward, okay, to try to get everything within that 45-day timeline, okay? All right. Can move forward to the next slide, please. So this is another way that we receive children within our district. I just moved to St. Croix and I have a kiddo with an IEP. My child has an IEP. How do I get services, right? How does that work? So you just, well, here it will be by plane. You wouldn't have driven in by a vehicle or something, but you could come in on a boat, right? So by sea or by air, however that works, that you relocate to the island of St. Croix. You will have to show, you will have to start at the Office of the Registrar, Student Services. That's where the process begins before you can access our services. And this is for children who are in K through 12. Okay, so if you have a child, you just relocated to the island and your child is between kindergarten to the 12th grade, it starts at student services. Your child, you have to register your child for school. Okay, so that's where you start that process, and the telephone number is there, and that's if you choose as a parent that you are attending the public school. If you're attending private school, all right, and your child already has an IEP, the only services that we would be able to provide in the private school environment is speech language service. Okay, so that's for private school. If you move to St. Croix and your child has an IEP and they're between the ages of 3 to 5, and so they're in a preschool, you would contact us directly and inform us that you have a child with an IEP and would like to continue to receive services, or you can go through your program. So whether that program is a private pre-K or a Head Start program, we work collaboratively with our early childhood programs. They would reach out to us and say, hey, I got this kiddo with an IEP and we need you guys to, to check it out so we can see how we can get services implemented as soon as possible. All right. But if you're coming through our student services, because they're in K through 12, or kindergarten through 12th grades. So you start with the registrar, you inform them that your child has an IEP, you give them a copy, and that literally means a copy. They could take a copy right there and give you a copy back to you. If you want to be proactive, you can walk with 2 copies and say, here, right? And what they will do is they will take that document, they will scan it, they will email it to us, because they will ask for our recommendation, our special education recommendation so far as placement. Student services will not place students who are in the special ed program independently. They will reach out to us to let us know that there's a child coming in with a disability that has an IEP, and we would have to confirm their placement prior to the registration process being completed. We can do that very quickly now. We have the beautiful, beautiful network of technology and collaboration. And so that happens pretty quickly now. And once we confirm placement, the the student services can say, okay, your child is going to go to this school based on your zone where you live. They'll say, okay, you go to this school and this is going to be the classroom and all of that stuff. And then on our end, what we'll do is continue with that document and reach out to the last school that your child was enrolled in and confirm, do a verification of previous placement, right? Would confirm the services that your child was receiving, if there's anything specific that we need to pay attention to or anything like that. While confidentiality exists, right, the law, federal law, protects educational bodies that we can have conversations with each other, school to school, with regards to students and their services. So a lot of the times we will still complete consent for a release of information, like we'll still complete a release just to make sure that we're covered. But legally, federally, we can have conversations school to school with regards to student services and placement. Okay. And then once we've had all of that verified and our specialists have received all the information, updated the information in our system, they are going to have a staffing, or, what is called the fancy term eligibility determination, but not so much to determine eligibility, but just for you, parent, adult, student, legal guardian, to inform us that it's okay legally to go ahead and provide services, and that you agree with everything that as it came from the previous school district, in addition to anything that we may see on our side here with your student. Once the parent, adult, student, legal guardian agrees to the provision of services, then the providers begin those services within 10 days of the meeting date. All right, so that's how that works for folks that relocate to our beautiful island. All right, next slide, please. All right. So how do you contact us? And so I went through a lot of stuff today, and that was a lot of information today. And I know we are time specific, so I'm trying to stick very closely to the time. But from now on, going forward, you will see all our slides in dual language because I want to make sure that you know how to reach us. Within the St. Croix School District, we have a lot of families who are Spanish speaking as their first language within their families. All right. And so if you need assistance at all to have any of this stuff explain to you or to walk you through the process, please call us, please reach out to us, and we will go through the process with you. We will answer any questions that you may have. We have folks within our office that can interpret and can explain anything for you in Spanish as needed. So our office number 340-626-8615. For referral submissions, again, that fancy email address, right? Sped referrals at vide.vi. That's SPEDREFERRALS at vide.vi. All right. So that's where some referrals can be submitted. And that's from any avenue, whether it's a parent referral, a school-based referral, an early childhood referral. All referrals can be routed there. We actually really prefer that they're email submissions at this point. And if you need a copy of a referral, please shoot us an email at that same email address, and our EDC arm of special education will get that right out to you. All right. Our offices are physically located in La Grande Princess. We are, let me see, we're almost across the way from Cast Iron Pot, right? There's a little road that's across the street from Cast Iron Pot. And you'll see this long yellowish building. And we're right next door to maintenance. Maintenance and operations are our shoulder buddies in the building. So that's where we are located physically. We're not there right now because we are working remotely at this time. So the best way to reach us is either via email or via telephone. And that's why we make sure that we have both of those available. Whenever schools are reopened and we're back to in-person services and in-person instruction, we will also be back in our offices. Okay. We look forward to that day. We're so looking forward to that day. All right. Next slide, please. All right, our St. Croix School District Special Education Leadership Team is, as you see on your screen. I am Cheryl Serrano Griffith, the District Director. Our EDC Coordinator, the person who manages all things evaluation, that's Miss Deborah Franklin Mirage. She is absolutely amazing at making sure every detail is paid attention to and given the respect that it deserves. So she handles all things evaluation. Our special education district coordinator is Miss Eva Wilson. We have our special education secondary supervisor, Miss Lyria Bryan Heiliger. And then we have Dr. Oneida Granger. She is also our special education supervisor. She has a mix of secondary and elementary schools. And then we also have Miss Joycelyn Ryan. She is the office manager. She coordinates everything that has to do with everything, for the office and make sure that everybody has what they need in the building and in the schools, okay? School coverage, Ms. Wilson covers early childhood pre-K program, Claudio Marco pre-K 6, Ricardo Richards K6, Juanita Gardine K8, and Pearl B. Larson pre-K 8 schools. So those are the schools that she manages. So a lot of the times you will see them information with regards to students will for their schools will go to them, and they will reach out back to you. They will contact you. Dr. Granger, she oversees and manages with regards to special education, Arthur Richards, K-8, Eulalie Rivera, K-8, Alfredo Andrews, K-6, Lou Muckle, K-6 school, and John H. Woodson Junior High School. All right. And then we have Miss Lyra Bryan Heiliger. She manages everything for our two high schools, including, it's not listed there, but the Youth Rehabilitation Center when we have students at that site, and also at the Safe and Healthy Schools program, formerly known as the Alternative School program here in the St. Croix district. If when we have students at that site, she manages that as well, along with the St. Croix Educational Complex High School and the St. Croix Central High School. So these are the leaders. These are the people that I'm fortunate to work with as leadership for special education on a daily basis. We go hard, we push hard, and we just keep trying to get, keep everything flowing. And so whenever you're interacting with special education directly, you may be in contact with any of these folks. And at the school-based level, you may be in contact with our special education chairpersons, as well as our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our bus drivers. All right, you may interact with any of these folks at the school level, our specialists, and I'm talking about our occupational therapists, our speech language pathologists, our teacher of the visually impaired, our physical therapists, our occupational therapists. I wonder if I missed any, our board certified behavioral analysts, any of those folks, that's all us. Okay. I always say sometimes you will see me by myself, but I never ever stand alone. There is an army that stands with me, beside me, behind me. So we just do our best to make sure that our students have the services that they deserve, and that as is appropriate, as outlined by their program. Okay. Next slide, please. Thank you for your continued support of students with disabilities. We thank you, our parents, our community service providers, the Department of Education. We are so many folks strong. Special education, again, does not stand alone. We work in partnership with the general programs that exist within VIDE, and we support accordingly across the board. So thank you. I think now we will open up for questions and answers. Yes, that's where we are.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a look through our Zoom chat and Facebook.
Okay.
It looks like we do have a question on Facebook.
Okay.
A parent is asking, well, she's saying she received the document via text message to fill out, but the zip code was not listed, her zip code being 00822. So she's asking, what should she do in this case?
Okay, I think that parent is referencing the transportation survey that went out at the end of last week, and I think it's due tomorrow. The deadline is tomorrow, the 9th. Okay, mom, what you can do, give us a call at 340-626-8615. You're gonna speak to this awesome lady named Miss Sabrina Frampton, and give her your information so that we can forward that up on your behalf. Okay?
Can you tell me the number one more time? I'm gonna add it to her question in right under.
340-626-8615.
Got
All
it.
right.
Thank
And
you.
Miss Frampton will answer the phone, and she is ready to assist any of our parents. And while we're on that, Miss Mitchell, with regards to that transportation survey, the Division of Special Education provides specialized transportation for some students, right? The students who really need that assistance. And so there's a survey out with regards to the need for that survey is students, for when the department reopens and students are coming back to school. We're asking as much as possible for parents to assist us in transporting, but if you're still gonna need transportation services, or to let us know where you're at in that process, please complete that survey. We sent it out via our parent email system. We also sent it out via text. But if for whatever reason you're stuck, just give us a call and we will help you with getting that completed, okay? Because tomorrow, Wednesday, December 9th is the deadline for that information, because all of that has to be populated for us to be able to see what the needs are and how we need to interact with regards to that service for the district. That service not only applies to special education transportation, but also to general school bus transportation. The department needs to have an idea of how many children we're going to be responsible for transporting to and from school. And so we're asking that parents complete that survey for us, please, please, please. And thank you.
All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, Ms. Serrano Griffith.
All right.
So I'm gonna move forward to the poll, and if I see any
Okay.
other questions roll in while the poll is active, I'll just throw them your way.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Good day, parents. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the information valuable to understanding the VIDE's functions and beneficial to your ease of engagement with the Department of Education. You may access this information anytime by visiting vide.vi and clicking on the For Families tab. Thank you.